Hey, what's up guys? Today I wanted to share my journey with the carnivore diet and how it's helped me with my bodybuilding goals over the past 4 years. Hi, I'm Sean and welcome to my channel, Carved Out of Stone. Now this isn't a carnivore recommendation video or even a carnivore how-to guide, but rather it's just my personal experiences doing the carnivore diet long term so that it can help you make your decisions about whether or not to use this diet. Now with January being World Carnivore Month, I figured a lot of people might be interested in trying something new or simply tidying up their diets. So I thought I'd share about what I've learned about the pros and cons of the carnivore diet, as well as some of the variations that I've tried. Now this video is going to be a little bit different because I'm going to be looking at the carnivore diet from a bodybuilding perspective. Most of the people in the carnivore space don't really focus on those specific goals. It's also amazing the amount of shit that this diet receives from people who've either never tried it or never given it a long enough chance to work, or never even considered that when it comes to diet and training, we're all a universe unto ourselves and what might work for me might not necessarily work for you. So for years I used to be your typical conventional traditional bodybuilder, eating a balanced range of foods, 6 meals a day, pre and post workout shakes, anabolic window, Tupperware at parties, you name it, I tried it. But despite being strict about my diet and eating, I always felt run down, sick, tired and bloated. My family used to joke that I was lucky to be so addicted to healthy living because I was always so damn sick all the time. Then when I was 23, my health completely collapsed and I was diagnosed with chronic fatigue and fibromyalgia. I had all kinds of autoimmune symptoms and everything I ate caused me severe gut issues, skin reactions and incapacitating brain fog. After 7 years of trying literally every supplement, treatment and superfood that I could find, I thought that this was simply going to be my life forever. But then I tried an elimination diet and discovered that it was by eating only meat and eggs that really helped my symptoms improve and eventually led to my full recovery. Now I'm not going to go too much into that here, but I'll definitely do a separate video about it in the future if anyone's interested. But I can say without a doubt that it was the carnivore diet that resolved 7 years of pure torture and misery from the symptoms when everything else I tried failed. Anyway, it wasn't until 15 years later that I realized that there was a connection between how the carnivore diet could also help with bodybuilding. As I was saying, I used to think you needed all the carbs, the anabolic window, the Tupperware, and all that stuff just to make progress. And while those things can definitely help, the carnivore diet can be a great compromise that still brings some amazing benefits. After all, there's a definite relationship between health and bodybuilding that many people ignore at the expense of just looking good. So while bodybuilding can definitely help your health, focusing on great health undeniably enhances your bodybuilding sustainably for the long term.
In 2019, I became interested in bodybuilders from the 1950s like Larry Scott, who used low-carb diets for both bulking and cutting. They didn't have all the scientific evidence we have now, but they had that kind of look that I loved. Even though drugs like Dianabol were finding their way into the sport, the guys of this time were the first to usher in that golden era look. Healthy, thick, muscular and lean, but still relatively obtainable looks. Larry Scott reportedly ate a diet mostly consisting of eggs, meat and heavy cream. Vince Gironda's steak and eggs diet was used by lifters and actors to achieve never before seen levels of definition. At the same time, I also found Sean Baker's podcast with Joe Rogan about the carnivore diet. He made a lot of the same points as those golden era lifters, but he distilled some of that wisdom with science supporting his arguments.
So stealing straight from the Vince Gironda playbook, I basically copied Larry Scott's mass gaining diet, using huge amounts of meat, eggs and cream, aiming for between 4,500 to 5,000 calories daily. After a few days of feeling a little bit meh, switching from carbs to keto, I began feeling more energetic and better mental clarity. My strength remained consistent, my muscles appeared full, probably from all the cream, and I felt great.
Most surprisingly and unexpectedly, my hair, which had been thinning considerably the previous year, suddenly started regrowing thicker and darker. I noticed after a month of eating this way, a dramatic difference to my skin and hair quality overall.
After about a month of binging on beef, cream and eggs, I started to react adversely to all the dairy due to my lactose sensitivity. And after a while I started waking up feeling a little bit heavy-eyed and a little bit hungover. So when I ditched the cream, keeping only the meat and eggs, I started feeling better almost immediately. So my carnivore experiment continued for another 6 months and it was the best health and vitality that I'd ever enjoyed. I ate the same meals every day, aiming for 5,000 to 5,500 calories in the form of eggs, cheese, bacon, butter, kangaroo, lamb, and salmon. However, I found that despite the high totals, I couldn't add any size. The scales just wouldn't budge. So I thought so much for calories in versus calories out. Without the cream, I noticed that my physique was a lot flatter in terms of my muscle density. The pump in the gym was much harder to come by, although I still enjoy productive, strong, and best of all, pain-free workouts. Even though I found it difficult to put on size with the carnivore diet, the flip side and perhaps the trade-off is that if your goal is to look effortlessly lean over the entire year, then the carnivore diet can enable you to remain better satiated while losing fat. Another biggie for me is I've been training for over 30 years, and after a while an inconvenient truth is that things begin to hurt and we don't heal as easily as we did when we were younger. One of the best advantages of this way of eating was the almost miraculous healing of persistent niggles and aches that my body accumulated over the years and just wouldn't recover from no matter what I did. I had better range of motion. The simple act of bending over or squatting down to pick things off the floor no longer made my joints scream. Eating carnivore, I can literally bounce out of bed every morning at 4 a.m. ready to go, as opposed to waking up with the aches and pains of yesterday's workout and life's daily exertions. Another game changer for me was that I was able to get rid of all stimulants and caffeine. I'd never been able to fully slip the grip of stimulants until I started eating carnivore. And because carnivore makes me feel naturally energetic and a little bit wired, I found that additional stimulants made me feel overly edgy, and I just didn't need them anymore. As I mentioned before, my mental clarity greatly improved. I could focus longer without my normal fidgety, distracted mindset constantly derailing my productivity. And most amazing of all, my fluctuating mood swings completely disappeared. Now, as with everyone, the ebbs and flows of day-to-day living sometimes makes many of us prone to feeling the blues from time to time. When I was eating carnivore, I couldn't even locate that feeling of depression in my body anymore. In fact, I was able to ditch all supplements as I didn't need them anymore, and my blood tests were showing improvements across all my basic panels without using anything. I just didn't feel like I needed the additional nutritional insurance, and I haven't bought any supplements over the years beyond some magnesium or collagen protein powder from time to time. The carnivore diet is dietary simplicity and minimalism in a nutshell. We all love the structure and routine that bodybuilding brings. And by limiting the cognitive demand of meal prep and macro choice, the simplification leads to minimization of cravings. When I was eating for choice, I constantly needed sauces and spices and variations when I didn't feel I needed the same things on carnivore that I did with more flexible eating styles. Since carnivore, it's rare that I get as much as even a sniffle anymore, including a recent bout with everyone's favorite virus of unspecified origin. And that's something that I've never experienced before. To say I felt reborn is basically an understatement. The only caveat is that it sometimes gets a little bit old eating nothing but animal products every day. I mean, who doesn't love carbs? And as bodybuilders, nothing enhances the pump more than a good carb up. Some challenges like dealing with social situations and explaining to work colleagues while you're carrying around a container full of dead cow all the time can get a little bit old. The only other negatives I find are initially issues getting to sleep because I simply have too much energy and I don't need as much rest to recover. My workout performance did suffer a little bit at first, but once I was adapted to this way of eating, I actually felt much stronger and had so much more workout endurance. Now, overall, my experience with the carnivore diet has been really positive, and I feel really great following this way of eating. I don't want this video to become an information overload, so if you are interested in learning more about the carnivore diet applied to bodybuilding, make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to stay updated for future videos. Thanks for watching.